Welcome back to another episode of The Political Life. Today we are coming to you from Kentucky. And as usual, no, I am not in Kentucky, even though I wish I was. But our guest is in Kentucky, and she's from Kentucky. It's Maggie Mick, and she is now with MultiState. And many of you probably know Maggie. Maggie and I have many of the same connections and part of the same networks. She was just prior to being at MultiState, was at CSG. She's also been in elected office. She was a city council member in Kentucky. So I think that's incredibly valuable to people who have served, had their name on the ballot, interacted with constituents as an elected official. It really something that I've done and something that really gives you a different perspective. And prior to that, she actually worked on the Hill. And we're very excited to have her here today. And we're going to talk about WASRG. Did I pronounce that correctly, the abbreviation?
Nope, you did. 100%.
Wow. That's a miracle. So Maggie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. We're so glad to have you on. So first, starting with your first political experience or one of your first political experiences, tell us about who you worked for on the Hill.
Yep. So my first post was right after undergrad. I was an intern for Senator Pat Roberts of Kansas, which is my home state. I will claim Kentucky, but home state is Kansas. I grew up in Topeka, a state capital, which I'm very proud to call home. And after interning for him, I went to Williams & Jensen and worked for the now chairman, but she was a partner at the time, Susan Hirschman. And then got pulled back to the Hill to work for another home state member, Jerry Moran. He was in the House at the time, but now he's in the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, of course. Great. And then you were at the Council of State Government, CSG, for quite a while. Tell us about your work there and CSG and all that they do.
Well, I worked for another Kansan. There's a theme here. When I moved,
are you working for a Kansas at MultiState or no? Have you broken the mold? Oh,
no.
Well, that's a problem.
I know there's a big Michigan mafia there. I'm changing it. There are only two Kansans on the team right now. But when I left Kentucky, I'd met my husband on a U.S. Senate race in 2006. Governor Ricketts was running for the U.S. Senate. He won a very competitive primary and lost the general to the incumbent at the time. But fortunately for him, he went on to buy the Cubs with his family, and I got to marry his deputy campaign manager and political director, Nathan Mick. And Nathan, after that campaign, moved to Kentucky. We were dating at the time. I was still in D.C. And when he convinced me to move down here, I said, what am I going to do in Kentucky after being on the Hill for 4 years? Like, I'm not going to go lobby Frankfurt. What do I do? And so I called everyone that I knew, told them I was making the move, and I called home to a state senator in Kansas, and she said, you're going to go work for CSG. And I was like, what is this? What is that? And she said, how she defined it at the time was, it's the Association for State Legislators, which is ironic because we're actually a 3-branch organization. And she's now the insurance commissioner for Kansas. So she's still active as part of the third or the executive branch. So I said, okay, well, how do we approach this? And she said, well, they're hiring a Kansan. So David Adkins, who was coming in as the CEO at the time, I basically just pestered him until he gave me a job. And I joined as the deputy director of development at the time and was there for 12 years, like you said, grew in many different roles, finished my tenure there as the chief advancement officer. And after you've been there for 12 years, that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But how we defined it was strategic relationships and external affairs. So managing some of those major stakeholders like our private sector partners, but also the legislative leaders who are critical to the success of our organization by making sure that they are supporting our organization, engaging directly, but more so getting their members involved so that they are engaged in receiving our programs and services. So
that's great. And I often get asked this, and you can probably answer this better than I can. but how would you describe the difference between, say, a CSG and an NCSL to put you on the spot?
Yes, no. NCSL actually grew out of CSG. So the Council of State Governments was formed in 1933. I think we are the oldest or maybe second oldest organization of state officials. Again, we're 3 branches. So about 45 years ago, the legislators and legislative staff said, we want to have our own group. We will still be part of CSG. CSG has 4 strong regions that primarily serve the legislative branch. But NCSL was formed, and they are a sister organization of ours. They are part of the Big 7, which CSG, and when I say ours, I'm still breaking myself of that, by the way. It's
That's all right.
6 months or so. But CSG and NCSL work very collaboratively. Again, sister organizations, their members are CSG's members. But CSG, serves all 3 branches of government and approaches its work every day through that lens, and is very strictly nonpartisan. So those are some of the key differentiators, but a strong tie between the 2 groups.
That is the best description I've ever heard. And now let's give a brief shout out to your current employer.
Yes.
Tell for anyone, and I can't imagine there isn't anyone who's familiar with MultiState. Why don't you tell us, just give us a brief overview of MultiState?
Yes, thank you. So I joined MultiState about 38 days ago. So I had worked with the company for 12 years, knew the leadership team very well. They went through an evolution and a change of the change of the guard. They're one of the original state local lobbying firms and one of the best known in the country. But Joe Crosby and Ed Griesmeer, Jeff Hartgen, and Maureen Reel are our 4 partners and have just transformed the organization and company in the past 5 to 10 years. We do a number of things. We do state government affairs strategy. We do compliance work. Carrie Castro is, I think, the most trusted person in compliance, Triple C, in the country. Issue management and tracking. Anything that a state government affairs or a lobbyist would need, we do. And actually, since I came on board, we are now in the development phase of launching our intergovernmental affairs practice, which I'll be leading. And that is primarily to build more structure around the success that they've had with groups like the Council of State Governments and other state and local organizations. So advancing the priorities and working on, the behalf of our clients with those organizations.
And when you say there's been a number of changes made over the past couple of years, aside from the leadership change and ownership, what changes are you referring to? Well,
our state government affairs practice has really blossomed under Maureen Reel's leadership and Joe. So Joe Crosby is the go-to on tax policy and really brought that intellectual heft to the company in that space. But building on that, we knew that we could do more in terms of advocacy and strategy work in state capitals. And so they brought on Maureen, who was a very well-known lobbyist, to start building that practice out. And then our work with the groups kind of built under that, and now we're starting to build on that work as well. So I would say that's been our biggest, new line of service that's been had a growth spurt. But compliance came online. I would say, I don't want to say the wrong year, but that's had a lot of growth. But we really were known for our issue management and tracking for many years. Our average tenure of an analyst is like 11 years or something. So we retain our talent, we grow them. They are professional staff that just thrive and know their issues very well. But in terms of the growth, I would say the state government affairs has been kind of the transformation built on Joe's expertise on tax policy. And the tax practice is now huge.
All right. Fantastic. Now let's get to the topic of the day, the symposium. Yep. Inside the dome. Inside the dome, is that right? Yeah. So you're thinking, I guess we could tell, you're thinking about some changes. So tell us about what's going on.
Yeah, so I have the pleasure and honor of serving as WASRG's 2022 president, and coming off of kind of the COVID era, COVID years, where we're all at home, and a lot of the organizations, both professional and state groups, were having to figure out how to best serve their members virtually. And at the onset of COVID, we serendipitously were preparing to launch a virtual series, which was called Inside the Dome. It was the brainchild of Evan Hoffman with Phillips, who was our president at the time. And he really wanted to take the intelligence of on the ground and the network that our members have across the 50 states and leverage it to the benefit of all of our members. So not all of our members have counsel in all 50 states. Some of them have 4, some of them have 15. And so what we do at WASRG is really lean on each other for professional development in our own space, but also leverage our resources and network to help us do our jobs better. And so inside the Dome, we started with a handful of states, bringing in state councils to give us the political development of the day. Then COVID happened. And the news of the day and the developments of the day were even more pressing. And so it was the right time to launch it. Our members benefited. They couldn't travel. They were depending on in-state counsel like yourself to give them good advice on what the regulatory environment looked like, the resolutions coming out of the executive branch to deal with COVID. And it just became an even stronger offering because of the time that we launched it. We've done 53 to date. I think we've done 28 states. Some states we do more than others because they just are a little bit more active on the radar of some of our members more. And what we decided this year as a board was Symposium. We'd done it for 25 years, over 25 years. It was a professional development one-day conference. There are other groups that are doing it well. SJC, PAC, Public Affairs Council, they do professional development really, really well. This is unique. This is driving in a different lane. And so what we're doing in November, on November 16th, is bringing in person our Inside the Dome concept. We're bringing 5 state councils together to do a roundtable, which you have graciously agreed to moderate. Thank you. And then the second panel will feature state leaders, legislative leaders, and fiscal leaders who are going to forecast their priorities and what budgets and funding priorities will look like for 2023. So it's a little bit of a departure from the one state council's giving a 30-minute talk on what's happening that week, that month in a state, but really forecasting for legislative sessions. But we think that we've built the right platform, and we think it's a benefit to our members, and we're excited to test it out. Plus, we're doing it at the Willard, which is, a classic place in DC, just to relaunch our in-person one-day offering.
Of course. Yes, indeed. I think it's a great change. And I think it's very insightful because you're right. Beth Loudy and SGAC, they do a lot of the training type things. And so this will give you, and they do a great job. Shout out to Beth. And this will give you your own lane. And I think people are really eager for more in-person type of events. And when I saw how you laid this out, I think it's going to be a huge success and just a big turnout. I think people are going to be very interested in it. And for our listeners, just when Maggie says state councils, she is talking about in-state government relations firms. That's how
lobbyists, consultants. The nomenclature is different for everything.
Right, exactly. Well, that's very very exciting. Maggie, can I ask you? Have you had PR training?
No, not.
Wow. You have an incredible gift and ability to speak absolutely so succinctly and perfectly with no ums, no ahs. Yep. So all the editing for this podcast will be on my end, not your side. So even though I'm the host.
Kind. My speech teacher who gave me a B in college because I kept skipping his class to go to KU basketball watch parties during the Final Four, he can grovel now.
And so for the November 16th event, how do people find out more information, or if they have questions, should they reach out to you or somebody else?
Yeah. Well, we've got a great website, WASRG.org or .com. I hope that you link it correctly.
We'll put it in the show notes. Yep.
In your show notes, but they can register there. We have kept this is an interesting factoid. When I was trying to figure out how long we have been doing Symposium, when you're getting ready to change something, you actually want to know what the history is before you really make that decision. And we found out that since 1997, we've actually kept our in-person half-day or full-day conference the same price since then. So for members, I believe it's $150. For non-members, it's $200. We want great attendance. We want a packed room. We want people talking to each other and learning from each other. So hopefully folks will sign up and join us.
Well, that's fantastic. And what are your other responsibilities as president of WASRG? Membership, sponsorship. We are meeting on Monday to relaunch our sponsorship levels for Inside the Dome. Symposium had unique benefits because it was a different conference. So we think that people will be interested in supporting this meeting because of those that are gathering. So the legislative leaders, the states that we pull from, the states that we'll be reporting on, the councils from Texas, Florida, Michigan, Colorado, New Jersey, hopefully will help be a draw. But I encourage, our longtime members to consider sponsoring it because this will be an expensive investment, but I think a worthwhile one for us to change and move forward out of COVID. Well, I am very much looking forward to it and looking forward to moderating that panel. It should be very interesting. We're probably going to turn that into an episode if possible. Yes. I'm not sure we can do it live, but we can probably post it that same day. Mm-hmm. So that'll be great. Well, Maggie, it's so great to have you on. And I very much appreciate you reaching out and looking forward to the 16th.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. We look forward to seeing you in person.
Absolutely. And for our listeners out there, remember you can follow us on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can also sign up for our email at our website, thepoliticallife.com. And we hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will see you next Friday.